No, 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 don't adjust your computer. Just watch. It's dark, very dark. How do you feel about being in the dark? What's in those shadows? Are you getting a little anxious? Not sure where I am and not sure what I'm going to do? As time passes and you realise that time seems to go at a different speed in the dark, you become a little more anxious. But it's okay, I'm still here, I'm talking to you. Darkness evokes fear, and that's why most of the scary times in movies take place in the dark, and even scarier if there's a storm. The world was dark in the beginning, until God said, "Let there be light." Light is physical. So how much light do we need to dispel the darkness? A burning match? Well, that does chase away some of the darkness, but not enough, and not for very long. What about a candle? It's not that long ago when candles were the only form of lighting, and whilst if you're near it, it gives a good light, the light doesn't penetrate very far, or at all if the match doesn't strike. Way. Have you ever noticed that as well as not seeing very far, that what you see are very dull shades of colour? Then the filament light bulb was invented. A thin piece of wire that got very hot and glowed. The filament light bulb changed everything. Although not as bright as our modern day lights, it was still a massive improvement and allowed the light to penetrate much further into the darkness. And the depth and range of colour emerges as the light gets brighter. Remember that with the candle you could only see shades of grey. Well, now this brighter light helps the colours to shine. If any of you have watched The Blue Planet or similar programmes, you may remember the sea creatures who live at such great depths that the light doesn't reach, and so they have no colour. But all these lights, the match, the candle, and even the bulb are man-made. There is one light, however, that is not man-made, and that's the sun. If we go back to the creation story in Genesis, we read that on day 4, God made the sun, moon, and stars. And he did this before he made the plants and the animals. I wonder why that was. Now, especially in this country, we can't always see the sun, but we know it's there and we're aware of its influence. Can any of you remember the last total eclipse? It was the 11th of August 1999, and although it was a cloudy day, so you couldn't actually watch the eclipse, you knew it was happening. I was driving home as it happened, and the light was very weird, and the birds stopped singing. We have solar panels on our roof, and that's a good way to see the power of sunlight. They're a bit dirty after 20 years, but last Saturday, although it rained all day, we generated almost 0.5 kilowatt of electricity. More evidence that the sun is there even when it's not visible. There is one other thing that the light gives us, and that's life. And that's why God created the sun, moon and stars before the plants and the animals. I'm sure that whether you're at school now, are a parent, a grandparent or a gardener, you know that the plants need light to grow and thrive. In my many years of teaching, I have had numerous plants in cupboards and on windowsills to demonstrate just this. So you only need a little light to begin to dispel the darkness. But the more light you have, then the further you can see, and the more you can see of the colours around you. A good light helps you to walk confidently along the path, knowing what is on either side as well as what's in front. Without that light, there is fear. A good light helps you to see and appreciate the beauty of the world around you. But light is not just a physical thing. The Bible tells us that spiritually we are all in darkness. So what does that mean? Have you ever had that unsettling feeling that no matter what you do or achieve, it's not enough? That new car, new house, new ideal job still leaves you feeling dissatisfied. It feels like walking in the dark, and that can lead to fear. Have you ever felt uninspired by everything around you? Have you ever felt hopeless? If so, you probably agree with King Solomon, who in Ecclesiastes said, "It's all meaningless," even though he was the wealthiest and wisest person in the world. That is spiritual darkness. In our reading, Jesus said, "I am the light of the world. Follow me and you won't be walking in the dark. You will have the light that gives life." Jesus is talking here about that spiritual darkness and the light that he gives. Jesus is the Son of God. That's what the I am is all about. As Jenny reminded us last week, I am is the name God gave to himself when Moses encountered him in the burning bush. So when Jesus says, "I am the light of the world," he's stating his position as the Son of God. And just like our Son, S-U-N, he's always there, even when we can't see or appreciate it. But if we allow too much of the world to take up space in our minds, and we focus on the new car, job, house, relationship, instead of on God, if we get caught up in the media reporting without keeping our focus on God, then we remain in spiritual darkness, along with all the anxiety and hopelessness that brings. As we learn more about Jesus and draw closer to him, then the light that he gives us helps to penetrate into that darkness. Remember the match? It was very small, but it made a difference. In the same way, one small step towards Jesus can begin the process of getting light into your life. So how do we do that? Well, by reading God's Word, by spending time in fellowship with God and with others, like here at Breakfast at 9, or by doing the Alpha course. It may be uncomfortable, as Jesus shines that light on something we would rather keep hidden, but once you face it with him, then it no longer has power over you. So the light Jesus gives will help us to see more clearly and can take away our fear. The light that Jesus gives will help us to truly appreciate the beauty of creation. Remember, there will be days when the light seems to be hidden. Just keep your focus on Jesus. Because most importantly of all, the light that Jesus gives us life.